Hello students, I hope you're doing fine. It's good to be back with yet another class on English grammar. This is day 9. Today we shall learn prepositions. What are prepositions? Prepositions are words that show how two different words or two different nouns are connected with one another. In this picture, there are two nouns, a bear and a chair. The preposition on tells us that the bear is on the chair. The bear is on the chair. In the second picture, the bear is under the chair or the bear is below the chair. Both under and below mean the same thing. The bear is above the chair. The bear is beside the chair. Or the bear is near the chair. Or you could also say the bear is next to the chair. Beside, near and next to all mean the same thing. The bear is in the box. On, below, under, above, beside, near, next to and in are all prepositions that indicate the location of the bear. So, do you find prepositions exciting?
Wow!
Let's take a look at some more. He throws the garbage into the bin. Into the bin. Here is a sandwich. The filling is in between two slices of bread. In between, and the bread slices are across the filling. Across the filling. These two ladies are opposite one another. Opposite is the preposition that tells us clearly how the two ladies are located from one another. This lady is in front of the man. In front of. The man is sitting behind the lady. Behind. The books are on the table. On. To tells us that the person is going to a certain place. From indicates that the person is leaving a place and going to another place. Up, climb up. Over, cross over. Down, climb down. Inside, inside the box. Outside, the box is outside the house or outside the door. Before, after. Through, towards. For example, walk towards each other. Among. I am among many people around. For example, there are many people around me. Out of. I am out of cash. Rules for using prepositions. Rule number 1. Prepositions of time at, on, in. At, on and in are the most commonly used prepositions. At is used when talking about a specific time. For example, at 2:30 p.m., at 4 o'clock, at noon, at night, at dinner time, at sunrise. On is used when we talk about days and dates. For example, on 1st of January 2021, on my birthday, on the 4th of July, on Tuesday, on Sunday, on Christmas Day, on July 10th. For example, we had a party on the 4th of July at 4 p.m. The preposition in is the least specific. It is used for years, months, seasons, decades, etc. For example, in summer, in spring, in in the past, in the next century, in the future, in the 1980s, in August, etc. The cherry blossom trees are beautiful in spring. In spring. Now let us practice some sentences. She was born blank 1985. And the right answer is in. She was born in 1985. Let's meet blank 6 p.m. Let's meet at 6 p.m. I always work blank Saturdays. I always work on Saturdays. Her birthday is on 10th August. I start work at 9 a.m. Rule number 2. Prepositions of place: at, on, in. The preposition on is used when referring to places in a less specific way. For example, I live at 126 Chelsea Street. At 126 Chelsea Street. Here we have used the preposition at because the address is specific. On the other hand, there are many houses on Chelsea Street. Here, Chelsea Street is used in a wider context, and that is why we have used the preposition on Chelsea Street, because it is not specific. So, you see the difference between at and on.
Yes.
On can be used when talking about street, road, or highway names. For example, Woodland Road, Main Street. On can also be used for the floor. You can say on the 5th floor, on the 6th floor, or on the terrace. For example, my flat is on the 5th floor. Here are some more examples to use the preposition on. On the beach, on the sand, on the road. At is used when talking about a specific place, such as the name or the address of a place. For example, at Starbucks or at 126 Chelsea Street. Remember that the address has to be specific. You can also use at when referring to a specific airport or railway station. For example, at the Central Terminus, at the JFK Airport. However, do keep in mind that you can use at even if the airport or the railway station is not specific. So, I can still say at the airport, at the railway station. I can also say at the office or at the library. Here are some more examples of the preposition at when referring to a place. At the reception, at the top or the side or at the bottom. At college or at university. At school, work or at home. At the concert, at the supermarket. The preposition in is the least specific. It is used for referring to places in a much broader sense. Use in when talking about a country or a city. For example, in the US, in India, in France, in Dubai, in Mumbai, or in Los Angeles. You can also use in when talking about entire neighborhoods, regions, or states. For example, in the tundras, it is very cold in the tundras. It is very hot in Rajasthan. There are many high-rise buildings in New York. In the desert, in a forest. Use in when talking about continents such as Africa, Asia, Europe, etc., or long stays such as in a hospital. These are some examples. Now let us practice some sentences. I am blank the bus stop. And And the right answer is at the bus stop. I am blank New York. I am in New York. She's blank her desk. She's at her desk. We always visit the hills blank summer. We always visit the hills in summer. Rule number 3. Prepositions that you can use for transportation. At, on, in, by. Use on for walking. For example, I'm traveling on foot. On foot. I'll be there in 10 minutes. For all private transportations, use in. In a car, in a taxi, in a limo, in a helicopter. For example, I'm in the taxi at the moment. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Use on for any other public transportation. On a bus, on a plane, or on a train. For example, I saw Sarah on the train yesterday. On can be used also for means of transportations that you can ride on a bike, on a motorcycle. For example, I'm on the bus. I'm just getting on the plane. Use by when talking about the method of transportation. That is how you plan to travel. By bus, by taxi, by train, or by plane. For example, I go to school by bus. We reached the island by boat. Rule number 4. Prepositions related to work. At, on, in, for, from. No matter where you work or who you work for, these work-related prepositions will help you express yourself better. Let's say you work as a chauffeur for Miss Daisy. As Miss Daisy is a person, use for. I work for Miss Daisy. The preposition for is used when you work for a person. Mike is a manager. Where does Mike work? Mike works for a big company called Microsoft.
Aha!
Use preposition for. Mike works for Microsoft. You can also use at. Mike works at Microsoft. Mike works for Microsoft. Mike works at Microsoft. I work for a bank. For a bank. If you want to be more specific about the location, you could say, I work at the downtown branch. At the downtown branch. These days, most people work from home or co-working spaces instead of the normal office. Use from. I work from home on Mondays and Wednesdays. Mike works from a co-working space. Let's find out more about Mike. What does Mike do in Microsoft? Mike works in the accounting department. Works in. Or Mike works in the finance department. Use work in when referring to a specific field or a particular industry. How to use work in with work for. For example, Mike works for Google in the HR department. Works for. In the HR department. Use work on when talking about a particular task or project. For example, I am working on a new software project. Working on. When I worked at Google, I worked on a major human resources project. talk to or talk with. When do we use talk with and when do we use talk to? This may sound confusing, but it's actually very simple. Use talk with when you are having an equal level conversation. What do I mean by that? For example, when you're talking to a friend or perhaps a business associate. I enjoyed talking with him about our future business plans. On the other hand, talk to is used when you are talking to or when someone is talking to you from a level of authority. For example, he talked to the employee about the new company rules. In the hospital or at the hospital, which one is right? Use in the hospital when you're hospitalized. For example, I'm in the hospital. Use at the hospital when you are visiting someone else who's hospitalized. Students, prepositions is a vast subject. I have only covered the most commonly used prepositions in the basic grammar course. This is the end of today's class. Till we meet again, have a nice day.